You are listening to Stages Podcast with Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. Welcome to Season 6. Here on Stages Podcast, we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume to explore the crossroads of creativity, spirituality, motherhood, and so much more. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Give us 5 stars and a great review. It really helps us grow. Thanks for joining Stages Podcast, Season 6. I have long known a fundamental truth about myself. It's a lesson that I've learned in several different ways over the years because heaven forbid I should learn anything on the first lesson. It's this: if I am not being creative, I am often being self-destructive. Sometimes the destruction came of my own deeds, and other times my body revealed the truth. But creativity has always been with me through challenging times. It's how this podcast was born during COVID. I've also known for many years about today's guest. Her column in Oprah's magazine, O Magazine, was the whole reason I had a subscription. I'm sorry, Oprah. I'm on an honesty cleanse, and that's the truth. Her story is amazing. After a near-death experience on an operating room, she uncovered suppressed memories of sexual abuse. She went on a quest for truth, and in the process, she let go. She let go of her family, her friends, her religion, her goals in academia, and her marriage. But she discovered her true self and has inspired millions of people around the world to do the same. She's recognized as a leading figure in the personal growth and coaching space around the world. She is a Harvard-trained sociologist, New York Times best-selling author. She has published 9 nonfiction books and a novel, and hundreds of magazine articles, as I said. Her latest book is Beyond Anxiety, Curiosity, Creativity, and Finding Your Life's Purpose. In it, she says, if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. I love that. We are so excited and honored to talk to her today about her new book and so much more. Please welcome Dr. Martha Beck.
Treat to be here with the two of you. I'm so honored.
Gosh. Really,
Welcome.
I have read your books and read your articles and watched you for so many years. So truly, I'm thrilled that you're here. And
it's nice to meet old friends, isn't it?
Oh, isn't that something? Yeah, knowing you through your writing, but not necessarily, and we're not even sharing space, and yet I feel you're filling the space. There is something so whole about you.
Well, I actually think space is alive. Oh, I just got weird right from the get-go. That's strange. But like we're all made mostly of empty space. Our atoms are full of empty space, and empty space has no boundaries and is not segmented in any way. So we're literally in the same space.
Yeah, we believe the same, and it's not weird to us at all. At all.
I knew I'd come to a good place.
Oh, yes. In fact, one of the things that I am now, it's going to be a mantra for me, is where rational meets magical. I think that's very much how Mary Lee and I try to live our lives, right? We want to be, it's that old saying of you want to have roots and wings. You want to be in the reality. And yet we know that there is so much that is woo-woo and magical and divine.
Yeah.
And if you're not living both truths, you know, where is the purpose? Where is your purpose? And it's that beautiful balance, right?
Yeah, I think this is a time when the rules are breaking down. Everything's breaking down. And sometimes that's frightening, but it also means that there's way more opportunity for unprecedented and unexpected things to break through.
Yeah.
So in my company, we talk about play in the magic, but stay in the real. That's one of the things we say. But then when it comes right down to it, our business motto is, I've never told anyone this. It's also my family's motto: never by logic, always by magic.
I love that.
Because we try to do things normally, but it won't work. And then when we're like exhausted and depressed, something magical happens and we're like, why did we even bother?
It's always that way. The minute you let go of trying to control the situation and you
Right?
just you allow for that space to start moving you in the direction that you're
Yeah.
supposed to go in. And then suddenly, like magic, something that you desired or worked for, or sometimes didn't even know you needed or wanted
Yes.
appears in front of you.
Oh,
Mm.
it's amazing. It
I've
really
been
is.
I've been saying lately that, with everything that's going on in the world, it's a
Oh
very
yeah.
stressful time. And anytime I get
Mm.
really upset about it, which is often, I
Yeah.
woke up yesterday, I said to my husband, we have to move to Ireland. But anytime I start to get that feeling, I remind myself of what I've been calling an extinction burst, when
Uh-huh.
like when
Yep.
you reel a fish in off a boat and it doesn't want to let go. So it flips and it flops and it
Yeah.
goes crazy and it causes all this destruction, but then it passes on. And I feel like that's what's happening
Yeah.
right now in lots and lots of ways. And I've heard you talk about that you feel like we're elevating the human consciousness. We're in a space
Yeah.
right now that that's happening. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, I've ever since I was a very young child, I have had this weird feeling that I was going to participate in some large shift. And it has been like a bell ringing at the back of my mind for, I'm 62. It's been going on at least 60 years, like since I learned to talk. And of course, I kept it very quiet for a long time. And then I started writing about it a little in my 30s, a little bit. And then in my 40s, I was like, why not? Let's go a little bit further. And now I'm in my 60s. I'm just like, never by logic, always by magic. Here we go. We are going to see a transformation in human consciousness. I don't know what that means because I'm not in that new consciousness yet. I'm in the consciousness that I'm used to having. And I believe that if you're talking about moving to a new consciousness, you actually can't understand what that'll be like because you're not in it yet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I used to ask like the air, what is this thing? And I would hear these lines from T.S. Eliot where he says, I said to my soul, be still and wait without hope, for it would be hope of the wrong thing. And wait without love, for it would be love of the wrong thing. There is yet faith, but the love and the hope and the faith are all in the waiting. Wait without thought, for you are not ready for thought. So the darkness shall be the light and the stillness the dancing.
Mm.
That was my answer to what I was doing with my life. It's
Wow.
no, it's pretty, but it's not a lot to go on when you're planning the week.
Right. Well,
And
I
it
feel
takes
you've had a lot of lives. You've had the life in LDS,
Oh,
right?
yes, my
Where
Mormon girl
if,
life.
yeah, your Mormon girl life, and if this 2-year-old voice in the back of your head is saying, Martha, you're going to do something extraordinary. You're going to shake it up. You weren't necessarily raised in the environment that would
encourage.
foster that 2-year-old life. So is that kind of what propelled you into the study of sociology, especially that
Mm.
of gender, right? Because that was a focus for you for a while.
You know me better than I do myself. I should be
Oh
paying
no,
you for
it's
this.
just again, no, raising a young lady in today's world,
Yeah.
those things ring so true to me, are so
Mm.
I
Yeah.
want to sink my teeth into, maybe not preparing her, because that quote by T.S. Eliot is so gorgeous, and I'm going to have to read it, I'm sure, at least 20 times to even get a fraction of its meaning. But I don't want to plan for her future, but I do want to prepare her with everything I can,
Right.
not only as a mother, but with a council of women who can
Yes.
lift
Yes, a
her up.
community,
Yes,
a
yes, yes,
circle of women,
yes.
which would have been immediately drowned, beaten, or burned out of existence in, the last several centuries of human life. So that's one of the things that is breaking loose is that the consciousness that is rising, it has a balance of of feminine and masculine principles. And in the past, it's always been, I mean, we look at history and it's all the history books are full of people who could kill the most people on a given day or a given year.
Right.
And nobody ever writes about how those people got to be grown-ups, about the hundreds of thousands of hours spent creating and sustaining life. That's magic. Killing someone is not nothing. Just push them off a building, wait for time to do it. It's easy. To make life and sustain life, and especially a human life, which is so difficult to sustain for years. And all these women have quietly been doing this magic throughout history, while the history books record, oh, he killed 100,000 people. Well done, sir.
All good
Like,
lands.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's power. Yeah, no, 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 no. And I do think we're seeing the extinction burst of that way of thinking, of that hyper masculinized, hierarchical, exploitive way of being. And I'm not saying men are that way. I'm saying that is an exaggeration of the masculine principle in our psyches. And we're at a place where if we keep killing things, the ecosystems we depend on won't sustain us. It requires us to bring something new into life to nurture and sustain it. That is the power we need right now. And because it's so unfamiliar to our culture, we call it magic. But actually, it's something that we're born knowing how to do. It's almost technical, you know? It's almost technical in its expression. Like you're actors, and so you have this craft that you have learned and studied, but when you're actually doing it, you become what you're doing.
Mm.
And that the stillness becomes the dancing. And so that ability to willingly study and work and learn in order to create and sustain something good, and then the disappearance of ego into the service of that and the joy of that, that I think is sort of a preview of the consciousness that is arising.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because like we were saying earlier, the more you try to control
Yeah.
that kind of thing, the more it slips away from you.
Yep.
It's a strange thing because it's incredibly powerful, but in order to access that power, you have to find stillness and you have to be
Yeah.
really careful about how you think and what you
Yes.
think. So it forces you to slow everything down, which requires patience and faith and the things that are so hard to grasp and
So
to
you've just
do every
voiced a
day.
paradox, and that is we have to
Right.
stop controlling it, and yet we have to be very careful about the way we think, which sounds super controlling. Like I was
Right.
taught as a
Right.
Mormon person, if you have wicked thoughts, God hates you. So try to control your thoughts with your thoughts. Good
Right.
luck.
Right.
Right. Right.
But I think what you're talking about is there's an art to letting go.
Hmm.
And it's when the mind attaches that we have to say to it, okay, that's not the most skillful way to evolve. So it's not control, it's compassion.
Yeah.
And it's when we love the part of us that tries to control everything that that part can calm down.
Right.
And anxiety is another word for the desire to control. So I wrote this book, Beyond Anxiety, because I want to get myself and everyone else to the place where the moment we feel clamped and attached and controlling, just as Mary Lou was saying, we go, oh, I know how to deal with this. Okay, controlling self, I love you. You're okay. I'm here. You don't need to do that. We're safe. We're good. I've got this. Come with me. And it starts to calm down. It's a way of approaching anxiety that most people in our culture don't do because we want it to go away. We say we want to end our anxiety or bring it down. But if I came to you and said, I want to end you, I want to bring you down,
Right.
would that cause you to feel calm?
Right.
No.
So if you treat it not like a broken machine, but like a frightened animal, it starts to let go by itself.
Almost giving it a little bit of I don't want to use the word power, but acknowledging, yes. So I've been speaking to a lot of pals who there's something, as you so deftly written in your book, but we are at a time where anxiety is in everybody, and we have these platforms to express them, and the
Mhm.
friendships to connect, and sometimes commiserate, and sometimes sit too long in them,
Yeah.
which only gives them
Yes.
more life than they need.
Yeah.
But I have been using this skill, as has my husband, and it's worked. And so if somebody comes to
Ooh.
us, I will say, hey, do you want me to give an opinion or an advice, or would you like me just to sit with you in your discomfort?
Mm-hmm.
And before they even say anything, right? There's this heightened energy. You can hear
Yeah.
they're about to unload, maybe even unleash.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to arm and preserve yourself, but you also want to know, who do I need to be for their anxiety in this moment? And if
Mhm.
you're just saying, who am I right now? Am I just a listening ear and a heart for you? Or would you like, a critique of some sort or an outside perspective of some sort? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I'm finding people are saying, can you just sit with me in the
Yeah.
discomfort? They don't want it.
Yeah.
Because if it is unsolicited, it is criticism.
Yeah.
And who the
Mm-hmm.
hell wants criticism on top of the anxiety that they're feeling?
Yeah.
It certainly won't be received, you know?
No, it can't
Somet
be because the frightened brain literally cannot receive things.
Right.
So it's not physically possible for
Yeah.
someone to receive your kindness when they're agitated.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you offer your opinion before or offer help before it has been requested, it can't be received properly,
Oh
right?
my
It can't
gosh.
it,
I have
if
done
you
that so many
That's one
times.
of the
Like,
major things in my life that I've had to work on.
right.
Oh, you have a problem? Let me jump in and fix it
Oh,
for
yeah.
you. And if I can't do that, I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you exactly how you should fix it. And then you're like, they can't hear you. They
Yeah.
can't,
That's
Yeah.
they're not
unsolicited. They don't
asking.
want it.
If they ask, they've found the humility inside
Yeah.
of themselves to literally go outside of themselves and look for what they need. But until someone does that,
Yeah.
you're just creating distance.
But as human, it's hard because I say,
Totally.
hey, I see my anxiety and your anxiety, and I want to connect us and I want to, but somehow in the translation, it's just counterintuitive,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this little snippet of poetry from Hafiz, who was a 13th century Persian mystic poet. It's really short, but I just remember it every time I'm tempted to try to fix someone. And that is, it goes, troubled, then stay with me, for I am not.
Mm.
I'm not troubled about you being upset. I'm not even slightly upset by the fact that your heart is broken. I'm here to love you, and I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I am not worried. That is such a gift for people.
Yeah.
In Buddhism, they call it the compassionate witness.
Mm.
And in psychology, they know that that's all that is necessary really to heal trauma. If you can get enough compassionate witnessing, you're going to heal.
Do you feel you need faith in the not worry of life?
No,
Just a larger understanding than yourself? No.
nope, nope. Because there's a part of you that goes, I don't have that faith. And you go, "Oh, yeah, I see that. I'm right here." Because the compassionate witness is always speaking from this moment, which is the only moment that ever exists, as we all know. So the compassionate witness does not need faith. It exists in presence. Right now, the three of us are not under any physical attack that
Mm.
we could fend off, right? So the compassionate witness in ourselves just says, this looks fine. Tell me everything. What's going on with you? And that tell me everything. I'm fine. Whew, what a gift. And if you freak out, like if your leg was broken and I came across you lying at the bottom of a cliff and I lay down on the ground next to you and started screaming that my own leg hurt so that I could empathize with you, it wouldn't do
Right.
anybody any good.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, our own coming out of anxiety for our own sake is the way to bless the world and to change the world.
It's funny. One of the things that you also talk about is, compassionate self-talk.
Oh,
And
yes.
Stephanie and I have talked about this so many times in the podcast where we keep a little picture of our little ones next to the desk. And
Aw.
anytime the negative self-talk begins, I look at a picture of my little boy and I'm like, would I say that to
Aw.
him? I would
Yeah.
never say that to him. So why would
Yeah.
I say that to me?
Yeah.
And I think compassionate self-talk is a really important key to all of it. Can you talk
Yeah.
a little about that?
That was my first way out of the dungeon of anxiety, which was very strong in me for a long time. I think along with the sensitivity to like spiritual change and stuff, you also tend to have a pretty sensitive nervous system. So a lot of people who are very artistic and spiritual are also very anxious. And that was very true of me. And I had at one point, I had this kind of 72-hour panic attack. It was like the worst anxiety I'd ever had. I could not function. And I tried taking meds and I tried therapies of all kinds. just during these 3 horrible days. And then finally, I just decided I would start repeating Tibetan loving kindness meditation slogans. And they're very simple. It's may you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering, may you feel protected and safe, may you have ease of well being. Any good thing you can offer anyone, you just keep saying it to yourself. And within 5, 10 minutes, I started to feel distinctly better. So, anybody out there who's anxious right now, I would invite you to repeat some loving kindness slogans to yourself for at least 5 minutes and notice whether there's a difference. It's such simple magic, but it works. It works like a charm, that one.
Did you have someone in your life that gave you these beautiful charms or this direction or guidance, or how were you
Books,
inspired?
books, 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 books,
Books,
books.
books, books, books,
Yeah, I
books.
was a very bookish child. I was lucky enough to be bookish, and I'm still bookish. And yeah, all Buddhism is a very Asian studies. This is what I majored in college. So I was introduced to all these ways of looking at the world that were quite different from our Western cultures,
Mm.
and that's where that came from. And um, a lot. I've just been cherry picking the sacred practices of every culture I can find for as long as I can remember, and that's a good one. That's one of the best.
And sharing them, because so many of your gorgeous books are manuals. They are
Oh,
manuals to
thank you.
adventures and purpose. Purpose is a big one for you. That is a theme that is in, I would say, 5 or 6 of
Oh, it's
your
in all of
books.
them. All I ever write about.
Is purpose, purpose,
Well,
purpose.
it all mushes together, because what I really want is for people to experience joy.
Mm.
For me, joy is its own excuse for being. You don't need anything. My son has Down syndrome, and I knew it before he was born. And deciding within the 2-week window I had whether or not to terminate the pregnancy, the thing that brought me down on the side of continuing, first of all, I'm very pro-choice, so please know that. And secondly, I knew that his physiology was not that unusual. Like he wouldn't have big problems at birth and all that. So the question came down to what kind of human being is worth living? What kind of human being are you going to allow into this life? And I looked around, I was getting my doctorate at Harvard at that time, and I looked around at all these people who were fabulously smart and high achieving, and not all of them looked happy. In fact, most of them didn't look happy. And I thought, well, this is a child who can experience joy. Why would I want, like, isn't that more important for a human life than knowing several languages or whatever? Like, isn't
Achievement, right?
the ability to experience joy is its own excuse for being? We're all included, warts and all.
Warts
We've
and
got
all.
that.
Do you think that a lot of people don't know when they're on the right path to purpose? Do you
Hmm.
think they don't actually know what they really truly want in their heart? And what are
Yes.
some things they can do? I think I find that a lot, that when you ask someone, what do you really want, including myself, sometimes I
Mm.
just don't, I can't answer it,
Yeah.
or I go to answer it. And like you did this one exercise where you said, picture yourself in 10 years. And
Hmm.
I tried to do that exercise and my mind starts going, well, this is just one day in 10 years. How can I fit all the things that'll be in my life in
Right.
10 years into that one day? And what if I leave something out of this picture? Will then it not be there in 10 years? And that's what my brain starts to do
Well,
to
that's the
myself.
control impulse right
Yeah.
there.
Mm.
You're too
So
smart for your own good, Mary. Mm.
it's never quiet in there. It always, but I'm trying really hard to do what Jill said, is name the 4 quadrants. Dr.
Uh-huh.
Jill Bolte Taylor was talking about naming the 4 quadrants, making friends with them all, inviting them
Hmm.
in or to leave the conversation.
Uh-huh.
So I love that. I'm really, really trying to put that into my life. But what are some things people can do to quiet the control, to discover what it is they truly want, and to know that they're on the path to purpose?
These are great questions. Okay. So first of all, you don't quiet the control because that's shushing it makes it go, but I need to control everything. It makes it
Controlling the
worse.
control.
So you say, oh, you go ahead, sweetheart. You just control everything you want. And as it starts to let go, you can say, okay, in what direction does my joy turn me right now, like a compass? And because I think we're all born with clear knowledge of what makes us happy and what makes us unhappy. It's really simple. It starts like it's the whole culture is based on denying the experience of knowing what our true nature asks us to do. So we come out and we come into the world in total awareness of everything we want and how everything feels, exquisitely sensitive. Before we're even talking, before we're even a few months old, we start to get social messages that are different for all of us. Like, okay, my parents hate it when I cry, or they don't like it when I pull on the drapes or something. And all of us, because we're such social beings, almost all of us immediately sell out our true nature and do what culture asks us to. We do what the people around us want us to do. And at that moment, we lose touch with what nature gave us. Nature versus culture here. Socialization. We get socialized to do something and to think that it's good. And we forget what it's like to feel when something's good. So when I used to, well, I still do speak at, conventions and things. There'll be a few hundred people in like a ballroom with tables set up. And I'll stop right in the middle of a speech and say, before I go forward, is everybody comfortable? And they'll say, yeah. And I'd say, no, 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 really, really. Are you seriously comfortable? And they say, yeah, like, go on with your speech. What's wrong with you? And then I say, if you were all at home alone right now, how many of you would be sitting in the position you're in at this moment?
Mm.
No hands go up. And then I say, why not? And they have to think really hard. Very smart people thinking hard. And then someone comes up with it. Oh, this is not that comfortable. Now, here's the deal. It's okay that they're slightly uncomfortable. That's not the problem. The problem is that they look right at me and answer a direct question. Yes, I am comfortable, while their bodies know they are not comfortable.
So we're denying our
Exactly.
instinct. Yeah. Yeah.
All you need to know your purpose in life is to recognize what makes you comfortable and uncomfortable for real. You can still do whatever you want. You just have to know that makes me comfortable. That makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to go toward what brings me joy because that is my reason for existing. And then you find yourself on a wild ride with all kinds of magical adventures just because you decided to do what makes you happy.
But sometimes when you make that choice, right, it involves walking away from people.
Oh, it does.
And that can be really difficult to do.
Yeah.
So how do you find a balance between letting those people go with love in your life, but feeling a little bit guilty about that because maybe they're a family member or maybe, there's someone that has always needed you or whatever the case may be. It's very hard to maintain what makes me comfortable. Well, what makes me comfortable is not going to your house, but
Right.
it's if it's a relative or something, right? Then you're so how do you quiet the guilt that may come with the growth?
Well, that's part of your socialization. It says you're supposed to take care of everyone else's feelings, whether or not you're being honest about it. So when you stop lying to yourself and you start being clear about what makes you happy and what doesn't, then it can rock the boat big time. I mean, when I started doing this, you know what happened. I came out of my near-death experience and spent an entire year without telling a single lie. And at the end of that time, I'd lost pretty much everybody in my life that I'd ever had, plus my job, plus my marriage. But I mean, I'm not asking people to do that. It was hardcore. But here's what I know. When you live for the truth, you never abandon anyone, but you abandon lies. And people who don't want you to be true will move away from you then. And they're not abandoning you either. They're just terrified. They're terrified because they're locked in a cultural prison of their own and they want people to play by the rules because of control, because then we can know what and what you're talking about, don't leave me, I need you to make me happy. That is a form of control. It's someone playing the victim or honestly thinking they are the victim and using that. Oscar Wilde called it the tyranny of the weak. You can't leave me. I'm sick and alone,
Yeah. Weaponized incompetence and weaponized.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I was talking about the negative aspects of the masculine archetype. Well, that is the negative aspect of the feminine archetype.
Mm.
I'm a woman alone. I had a therapist who was widowed in her 40s with 5 teenagers. And then she put herself through college and a PhD in psychology and became a therapist. And I had group therapy with her. And these women had been through some rough times, but she'd been there too. And they'd say, "Oh, the plumbing's broken." And she'd go, "Oh, a woman alone. Of course, we can't figure out the plumbing." And then we'd all figure it out with each other. It was a radical, seditious group of women in that therapy cluster. And yeah, that was part of what helped me free myself.
All that go out of your life. Did you ever stop and say, what am I doing? Like you must have really questioned what you were doing, and
Oh my
how did
God.
you keep going?
It was horrible. I had 3 little kids and I needed to support them and I needed to raise them. And so I got pretty good at compartmentalizing. I spent a lot of nights crying all the way through the night. I used to drive my kids around in my minivan, just playing bittersweet ballads from the 90s with tears just going down my face like a fountain. And I just kept doing what I had to do. Like, isn't that the only reason any baby ever survives? Nobody ever has a good time taking care of a small baby. It's horrible.
Right. Which is part of our, as you were just speaking, going for your happiness, going for your joy and your purpose. But there is a social construct with which we have to figure out the balance of
Yeah.
not, of course, doing harm to ourselves or
Yeah,
others in the process, right? Yes. Society is telling us this is the norm. You should act this way. And we do need to find our way against
we
that,
do.
going, nope,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel comfortable to me. However, my empathetic self is
Mhm.
just as loud as my joyful self. And I need
Mm.
to say,
Ugh.
hey, if I do that, and I put myself in their shoes, it's going to affect them in this way. So, how do I
Mhm.
find the marriage or the bridge to gap my
Mm.
goal, my dreams, my happiness without subtracting from their moment, their
Yeah.
balance, their dreams, their happiness?
Well, I want to put this very gently, but what you're talking about is not empathy. It is
Mhm.
calculation.
Okay.
Empathy actually has 4 components. When you look at the social cognitive the neurostructures that are involved with helpful empathy, has
Yes.
4 components. And the first one is I feel what you feel, affect sharing. And that's as far as a lot of people go. Like when you're hurting, I feel the hurt and I rush to help you. I think all 3 of us are probably like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second one is self other differentiation. As Byron Katie says, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, she says, the thing I love about separate bodies is that when you hurt, I don't. It's not my turn.
Mm.
Okay. So then there's something called cognitive empathy where you can understand what they're going through. And that's what you were talking about. Oh, how is this going to affect them? The sort of chess game. And then the last one is emotion regulation, to be able to bring down our own anxiety, to be calm and present, and to let the suffering of another person work its way through their system, whether it's a situation in their life or an illness or a sadness or whatever it is, to do what you just said, to sit with them and say, tell me everything. I'm not going to try to fix you. And by the way, I'm going to be like moving, but I don't want you to move. I'm not ready for you to move. I know
Right.
it hurts so much, right? I'm moving. You know, that
Mm.
I've been doing that because we are planning to move, apropos of political situations. We were joking about this before, but I married an immigrant
Mm.
and from Australia, and that's a bit scary right now. So we're moving, and we tell people, and they're like, "No, we're not. We can't handle this." Our friends, and we're like, "I know, I hate it too." Yeah, we're moving.
Yeah.
It just, you have to live your own life because ultimately, untruth is never kind,
Mm-hmm.
and unkindness is never true. But you really, really, we really have to watch the over identifying and the calculation because that's what our culture tells us love looks like.
Right.
You feel what I feel, and then you calculate your performance to make me feel good. And that's not the truth.
It's an and situation, right?
Mhm.
This is happening to you, and I still have to do this for myself. I still
Yeah.
want to do this for myself. I still, yeah, and.
I need to do this. Becky Kennedy, the fantastic child psychologist, she says, just imagine that you're in a big field of benches and there are feelings, little plaques that have feelings on each bench: despair, rage, boredom, whatever it is. If you love someone and they're sitting on one of those benches, go sit on the bench with them. And that's it. They have their own life to live. Sit on the bench and say, or as my Australian wife says, sucks, mate. Sucks. Like, stop giving me therapy. Just say, sucks, mate, and I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she needs to work it out for herself. And
Yeah.
that's what we're doing here, isn't it?
Yeah.
In this, we sort of dive into this hellhole saying, I will gain the skills to get back to happy in the worst situation I can imagine. And we don't help each other do that when we try to interfere with someone's process.
And when you fix someone's stuff for them, you're denying them growth. You're denying them their chance to go figure it out for themselves and grow. And if you deny them that chance, it's just going to come back again, that lesson for them, even harder probably the next time around.
And I have done this. Oh my gosh, I've done this so like egregiously. One of my best friends is Liz Gilbert, and of Eat, Pray, Love. And we get together and just howl over the times we've tried to fix people's lives.
Yeah.
She tried to fix an entire town at one point after her ship came in. And what happens is not only do people not gain the skills to live their own lives, they start to hate you.
Right.
They resent it that
You've taken something from them subconsciously, right? It's like you are not capable, therefore I am coming in to do X, Y, Z instead of you have everything you need. Like you said, we have been born with all of the instincts and all of the joy and all of the want that we need. I remember my voice teacher. She got me very young at a very critical age. I was 11 going on 12. And she would do these journals with me. They were just want journals and it felt so selfish. But she would say, start with something so little. What do you want for lunch? Or you have an allowance at the end of the week after you pay all this stuff. You want to buy some nail polish? And I was like, nail polish? But just planting those little seeds. And then she would say, oh, that's interesting. You decided to choose, oh, this is interesting that we're talking about nail polish colors. But anyway, she would say, oh, you wanted a vibrant orange. Are you wanting more joy in your life? Are you wanting more excitement in your life? Right?
She was a life coach.
Yes, she was. I said, I want to run a mile. Okay, really? What is that testing? What is it giving you? Are you really wanting to run a mile? Or are you wanting to know that your body is capable of boom, ba-doo, boom, ba-doo, boom? And through these material objects, we were then able to mine into a much more
True
deeper
intentions.
true intentions. Because I do think most of us, because of the social constructs, the days take over and then the months take over and then the years take over. And you've just kind of been floating through life as opposed to intentional living. And that is one thing that my voice teacher decided. She was like, no, we're not doing this. And with all due respect to my wonderful parents, they too, they worked for the county of Los Angeles or in an office and had that clock on the computer that to their retirement, right? Years, month, down to the second. And she said, this is not what you want. This is not success. This is not what you want. So the only way that clock is not going to tick to the moment of your retirement is for you to say, these are what I want. This is something as simple as I'm paying $4.95 for the tangerine orange nail polish. I made that decision for myself and it brought me great joy, right?
That's
Something
brilliant.
that little.
It does sort of feel like this generation coming up is not going to participate in that clock that counts down their life. Like they don't want to buy homes. They want to live in vans. And part of me, when I hear it, it's like, oh, get a life. But the other part of me is like, good for you. Like think outside the boundaries and don't be defined by what you're told you're supposed to want.
Is this part of this beautiful disruption that you're talking about? This kind of crux in our time?
Because one of the reasons they're so disenchanted with the job is not the clock counting down, but they can't get jobs like that. Jobs
Right.
like that are disappearing. I'm a sociologist by training, and I can tell you our entire socioeconomic structure is crumbling. It's been accelerated lately, but technology has been the main driver for many
Right.
decades, and the world there coming to maturity and is not what we experienced at the same time in our lives at all. Those jobs aren't there, the ones that you can keep till retirement. They're living in vans because you can't get housing when you don't have a job. Like they're creatively solving the problems of existence in a state of the world that is utterly different than the one we faced. And they're doing a fantastic job by and large. And that's why I do have hope. And they are sustaining a mental flexibility that is much less hemmed in by socialized expectations. They are thinking more wildly and creatively. And as it turns out, Jill Bolte Taylor's brain anatomy is obviously much better than mine. But when I looked at the neurology of anxiety, and then what I saw was a pattern in the left hemisphere of the brain, and the mirror pattern on the right hemisphere of the brain is not calm and quiet. It's creative.
Yeah.
And these two things toggle. We know that anxiety shuts down creativity. When I started researching this, I thought, does creativity also shut down anxiety? And I went out to find out, and my answer is yes, it does. But that's not something we've ever been told. You all teach it. You live your lives creatively. The creation of your life is the ultimate creative act. And the kids who are growing up are looking at the circumstances, which are awful, and saying, okay, here's what I'm going to do to try to find my joy in this situation. And God bless you and people like you. You're allowing that and honoring that and loving that. And that's what the world needs. And here's the interesting thing about the way creativity works. This is one of the interesting things. To take a really big leap forward, to come up with some really creative answers to the problems that we face, the brain needs lots of information, an active imagination, and an impasse, an unsolvable problem, a feeling of being so stuck that nothing we know can solve the problem.
You can no longer avoid it, try to get around it. You must face it.
Stuck.
Yeah.
And you may have had the experience of like studying math or languages or something and not being able to get it and then going to sleep and waking up and it was there.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
accessible
Yes.
to you.
Yeah.
When Einstein was stuck on figuring out general relativity, he got on a trolley car famously and he was going away from the town square and he saw the clock in the tower and he thought, if I were moving at the speed of a photon, the speed of light, I would never see the clock change because the image would be on that light, that exact proton. And that was when it sort of exploded into his mind that at the speed of light, there is no time. Time ceases to exist when you reach the speed of light. And that was the basis of his relativity theory. And a lot of great, massive leaps forward in human ingenuity and problem solving have happened in the same way and in small ways as well. So if you feel like, oh my God, this is a terrible situation and I don't know how to go forward, I don't see an answer, congratulate yourself.
Yeah.
And then just like do what you love as much as you go eat ice cream, binge watch a TV series, go running in the woods, and then buy another dog, whatever. And then in the middle of that, your brain will go,
I know. Yeah.
I've got an idea. Yeah.
That's what happens to me when I try to write. I do love
Yes.
writing, but for me, writing is I'm undisciplined. So I always get to the same spot where I'm ready to go. That's it. This whole thing just sucks, and I'm throwing it all out, and it's just the worst, and none of it makes sense, and no one wants to read it. And then I put it away for like 2 days, and I'll be in the woods walking and be like, I know, all it needs is that sentence.
That's exactly
and then it
right.
comes back. But can I ask you about your writing process? Like technically, are you wake up and get it out of your head? Are you disciplined? Do you let it come through you and you just feel it when you feel it?
Oh God, no, that I would never get anything done if I
That's my
waited. I
problem.
used to have a sign over my computer that said, just clean the toilet. Because, when the toilet is gross and disgusting, you don't go, oh, but I'm not really feeling it. I don't,
I can
oh,
always use the
soon
downstairs
I'm gonna
toilet.
be, I can't wait for the inspiration to clean the toilet. You just clean the
Clean the
damn
toilet.
toilet.
Yeah.
So I sit down, I put words on the screen, and then I get up and go for walks. And often entire pages or even chapters will like spool
Download.
themselves out while I'm walking. And I have a phone. I just dictate notes into my
Yeah,
phone
I do
as
the
I'm
same thing.
walking. And now it's different. I'm writing another book now, and I find that reading styles are so different, and people are reading on screens so much that I find myself writing a completely different style. Very
Oh,
short sentences,
interesting.
lots of white space. I'm like, why am I doing it this way? And I've never written that way before, but that's the way it's coming.
Mm.
And it's much briefer. It's just really, really different. And it's fascinating because I'm not trying to do it. It's just happening.
Happening.
Yeah, so
Oh,
it's kind
that
of cool.
is
Wow.
fascinating.
So
Can I
within the
ask, what is your
container of
next book
discipline,
about?
it's called The Pyramid and the Pool, and it's about the dissolution of the hierarchical structures that are of every society that we've ever known.
Will you
Jeez.
just clean the toilet, please, and get that out? Because I want to read that.
It's I'm very excited. I do think there's this transformation of consciousness that's very mystical that I've been expecting my whole life, but there's also cleaning the toilet to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my life, cleaning the toilet is seeing how, and I've had these big aha moments where I can see how the oppressive, exploitive societies that have dominated human life for the last 5,500 years, how they are going to come down
Mm.
and what's going to be there instead. And it's very exciting to write
I
about.
bet
I'm
it
having
is.
so much
Here
fun.
in the state, will you be writing the book here in the States or will it be in Australia or half and half? What does that look like?
Well, I don't know how much we're allowed to say on
Understood.
recorded, but
Understood.
no, it's no big deal. We're not in any imminent danger. But yeah, I'm writing it here, but I'm also, I think a lot of us here in this country are encountering something we never thought we'd encounter,
Yeah, that's
which
what I
is,
thought. Being here is
yeah,
making such an impact, and it's so different and
yeah,
feels so wildly different
And frightening.
that creating here on this land during this time has to be informing how
yeah.
you're cleaning your toilet. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing I can tell you is that historically, the most powerful force to outstay or not bring down, but yes, bring down autocracy is art,
Mm.
circles of artists. And that's good because they're not really looking at us much. They're not looking at a bunch of middle-aged ladies and going, "Ooh, that could
Yeah.
be dangerous." I think they're starting to like be very kind to themselves and live for their joy. Oh, I should
Right.
no. It doesn't look like anything to them,
Right.
Yeah.
you
Just looks
know?
silly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Can you
dissolves.
give us a little piece of what that vision is that you
Yeah,
see in the future?
I put up a video about it once in 2016 and then again after the last election. I'd been thinking about hierarchical pyramids of power, ever since I started studying societies, because that always seems to be the pattern. I went to China and did research there, and they said there's a saying, um, under capitalism, man exploits man, but under communism, it's the other way around, they would say. So
Mm.
every system that has tried to replace these brutal hierarchies becomes a brutal hierarchy, right?
Mm.
As Audre Lorde, the feminist, says, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. So
Oh my
would
gosh.
what would a society look like? This is what I asked myself after being in Asian studies. What would our society look like if a significant number, like 10% of all the people in this population, woke up in the Buddhist sense, experienced an enlightenment event?
Just
And this is,
10%.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And I've been running different numbers, and those are just fun because there's no way of knowing for sure, but it's fun to look at statistics. And what I realized is I thought, okay, it would be more like a pool of water where everything's fluid and there are no boundaries between that people see between themselves. As Jill was saying, the left side of the brain separates things, the right side of the brain includes things. So it would be more like a pool of water where everything is level, but people interact through wave interactions. So if you become a zone of high energy, it makes ripples in the pool and people experience you that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I had these two models and I was thinking, how do you turn a pyramid into a pool? And I went out for a walk with a total impasse in my mind. And then as I was coming home, I went, oh my God, the pool is already here. And the pyramid's been in it all this time. There just hasn't been very much of it. So I went, and this is what I put online. I took a transparent glass pie pan and I built inside it a pyramid made of sugar cubes. And then so it's like this tall. Then I got a cup of water and dyed it blue and poured the water into the pie pan. And what happened is the people, I'm going to say people, they were sugar cubes, but think people. The people at the bottom of the status hierarchy had nothing to lose. So they immediately began to integrate with, invite, and dissolve into clear water. And it climbed up the pyramid from the bottom. And the little block at the top, stone dry until the very end. Didn't know anything was happening, but the whole thing collapses down in. Everything dissolves and nothing is excluded. Nobody is cast aside. No one is abandoned. Everybody is included.
Absorbed.
Included and integrated.
I love that image.
Well, I think that's how it happens. And this, what we're doing right here, it's not revolution, it's dissolution. There's not going to be another revolution. There's going to be a dissolution.
You know, we've talked a lot with directors on the show, and there was one conversation we had, I think it might have been with Annie Kaufman, Steph, where we talked about the difference between a hierarchical room where the director is on top and everybody, and a round table creative room. And in a round table room, real art, like I get goosebumps. See, I'm all goosebumpy. It's like real art starts to happen because everybody's equal and everybody's willing to, I have nothing to lose, and they'll throw an idea out and that idea gets changed and and it's always in a room that is
no
the
one's
round
at the head of the table
where the best art happens.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
I'd say that's the only real art. It beyond what happens inside our own heads, it's what happens in circles, not what happens in hierarchies. So what is our job? How do we live our best lives and change the world? Dissolve the structures of the pyramid inside your own mind. The things that say you have to control things, you have to force things. There's got to be priorities, damn it. And you can't prioritize joy, you must prioritize work.
Money.
Dissolve that inside yourself and watch what it does to the people around you, to the way you choose to work, to the way you choose to create, to what it does to your financial situation, just your physical health. Watch what it does when you start dissolving.
It's very interesting. When we were talking about doing a 5th season of the podcast, I said to Steph, I think we have to think about why we're doing it, right? So if we're doing it because we want to be, making this much money and this is how we define success, then we've failed. But if we look at it as we're reaching young minds, we're contributing to an art form that we love so much and getting people to think about theater, maybe who have never thought about theater. We're keeping these connections with these people that we respect and love alive. Well, then we're a huge success. So we should keep going. So once we redefined the paradigm of what success in this field is, it felt totally, we were like,
we dissolved,
we're going to keep going.
Expectations. We dissolved it. We decided,
and you turn toward joy.
Yes. And I will tell you, you speak so much about the nervous system and beyond anxiety. And when you do get rid of that expectation, which essentially is comparing. How am I going to be received? Will I look the same as this person who is deemed successful or whatever? If you get rid of that comparison and that expectation, you can still be hopeful, but there's a big difference there. Man, do I breathe differently. My I mean, physically, it's
Yeah.
manifested,
Has a
right? My body
immediate
just looks
physical.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
But the
That's so
anxiety
cool.
voice, that's still something. What beyond the complimenting or saying kind words to ourselves for 5 minutes, are there other tools that you can recommend in the moment when somebody is having, I don't want to call it an attack because I can't, apply that to the listeners, but a voice that is not servicing them and is paralyzing them. What else can they do?
So yeah, go to the kind voice and notice that you are the person offering the kind wishes, not the one who is freaking out. There is a great quote from an Indian sage named Nisargadatta Maharaj. And he says, mind is interested in what happens, while awareness is interested in the mind itself. The child is after the toy, but the mother watches the child, not the toy. So you're anxious, you've got anxious thoughts in your head. Instead of identifying with that and trying to get the situation to be different, you become the mother who is watching the child. And then you're kind to the child. And then you notice that there's a lot of space around the child. And then 2 words, make something. Make
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
We are the making species. We make stuff. And so when I tell people creativity is the opposite of anxiety, they say, oh, I'm not creative. Imagine yourself on a picnic, eating great food in beautiful surroundings with your dog. Okay, you just created something that's never existed before. And your body will start reacting to it just like it reacts to your worries about what's going to happen if things go wrong. So just inventing something beautiful in your mind is a creative act that will immediately start to anchor you outside of creativity. I mean, outside of anxiety, in creativity. And that has a reinforcing effect, just as anxiety does, only instead of life getting worse and worse, it gets better and better.
So your go-to thing is to just create
Make something.
anything.
Make something.
Make a meal, plant a
Yeah.
garden, whatever it is.
Hum a new melody that's
Write
never
a
existed.
haiku,
That's
write a- you
we,
know, like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Design a new roller skate. Whatever it is that turns you on,
Yeah.
go toward it. And as Goethe said in Letters to a Young Poet, never hurry, never cease. Just keep making art.
going. Yeah.
And it not for the sake of the art itself. I love to draw and paint, but I throw away tons of drawing and paintings because the object is not the painting. The object is painting.
Right.
It's what it does to my brain, to my
Yeah.
soul. It changes me.
Did you paint what's behind you?
Yes, I did actually.
I love it.
Oh,
so
wow. Look
beautiful.
at that.
Is that oil?
Yeah, it's me with a group of friends who walked through the English countryside last October. We walked 75 miles together.
That's my cow.
Oh, hello, cow. I love that cow. I've been looking at that cow.
Oh, drats. I have
this-
nothing to share. I'm going to fib. Look at my woven pillow.
There you
No,
go.
guys,
You-
everybody, that's a fibber.
We're on an integrity cleanse, Stephanie.
You're right.
You're making a great podcast. You're making a podcast. You're being
That's right.
That
creative.
is
You're
very,
creating
very
this.
true. Very true.
Oh my gosh, I cannot thank you
Oh.
enough for coming on.
This
As I
was so
said when you
fun.
first came on, if we just want to reach, change 10%, make 10% wake up. And this podcast, as I was telling you, goes out to a really young generation. And I have said so many times, oh my God, I wish I knew what I know now then,
Right.
if we
Right.
get young people to wake up to a lot of this stuff and awaken and create and just not get caught in the fear and anxiety and the
Yeah.
all the
We're in
feelings
a
that are
river
around
that
us.
is rising up around, right underneath the very roots of the pyramid. So trying to climb onto the pyramid is a losing gamble. But if you let go, you don't have to push the river. It runs by itself. You have to find your joy and let go of the old ways and float. Go where it takes you.
Float. I can't thank you enough. Minutes. Okay. First question. Tell me your favorite sandwich.
BLT.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
white
She
bread?
knew right away.
Any kind of bread.
Any kind of
Crispy
bread.
bacon or looser form?
Crispy.
Crispy bacon.
Toasted or soft?
Either one. Just give me a BLT.
Okay, give her a BLT. All right. If you had to choose one, mountain, desert, ocean, lake.
Mountain.
Mountain.
I'm a
Okay.
skier. I like to ski.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, you get arrested and your Australian wife has to come bail you out of jail. What does she
Mm.
assume you have done to get yourself locked up?
I mocked the president.
Oh,
Oh,
Mm.
golly. Due process, people. Look it up. Due process. All right. We walk into your closet. What is one garment or one piece of something that you will never get rid of because of the memories it holds?
Bathrobe. I lived in a bathrobe throughout the pandemic, my nice fuzzy bathrobe. And it is just, I get dressed in the morning and then I put on my bathrobe over everything. And
Cozy
that is just going to stay.
forever.
forever. All right, we're back to nail polish. If you were a nail polish color, what color are you and what is your cheeky little name?
So boring. I would be clear, clear, clear.
Uh-huh.
And I think my cheeky little name would be universal solvent. That's not very cheeky, but water is the universal solvent for matter, and I believe awareness, love is the universal solvent for our psyches. So I would,
Perfect.
I love it.
yeah.
Thank you for everything that you do to make the world such a nice place.
Oh, what
Oh,
a master
same to you
teacher
too.
you are.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's so great to meet you. And
You as well. And everybody, she's got plenty of books to choose from. But
Yeah.
first and foremost, if you're working your way backward, check out Beyond Anxiety.
Yeah, we'll have
Thank
a
you
link.
so much.
Thank
thanks so
you.
much. both
Thank
of
you so much. You sign off. We're going to talk about you.
Okay. Mwah. Thanks
Bye.
again. Bye. Dreamy.
First of all, to be able to know these quotes by heart, to, assign them to who first said the quote, to appropriately use them, to then share them with such like straightforward passion that like it went right through me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know what that lesson is. I've never been heard it said in such a way, you
Yeah.
know?"
Well, it's funny. There are probably 3 different times in this episode when I thought, I got to go back and really listen to that and write that down and stick it next
Yes,
to
yes,
my
yes.
desk. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But her books are filled with all that stuff,
Oh,
filled
they
with
are.
it.
They are
It's so
manuals for
funny.
sure.
If someone told me 20 years ago when I was, on the subway reading O magazine that I would sit down and talk to her, I wouldn't have believed it.
Beck.
And she really was the reason I had that subscription. I loved to read her columns.
Do you remember one column that really affected you?
There were so many.
Yeah.
There were so many. I've gone through a lot of sort of metamorphoses in my life, right? At different times. And they're really salient. I can look back and point to specific times in my life where big change happened, where I hit what she called that, the roadblock where there was like, I can't keep going forward. So I'm gonna blow this up. And I've had a couple of those throughout my life. And she's one of those voices that always turned up during those times where I would read one of her books or come across her columns or there have been a few voices, but she's definitely one of them. Yeah.
I do believe in the dissolve
Yeah.
over, but dissolving it all, then there's the rebuilding. But she didn't necessarily use that phrase. She used the phrase of
Integration.
flow. She used the
Flow.
flow. Yeah, integration. My little mind can't seem to know what that might look like.
But maybe you don't have to know. And it's what she said in the very beginning. You
Yeah.
can't know because we've never seen it before. How can you
But
know?
we can't keep repeating what has been. It's
Right.
not working anymore.
And that's that blind faith, like to just say, I have to just leap and trust that the flow is going to take me where I need to end up.
She said that she wasn't spiritual or that you don't need to have a faith in the waiting, but a lot of her quotes were from those who are, like she said, Buddhist.
Yeah, Buddhist.
T.S. Eliot is a major, Christian thinker,
Yeah.
and almost an evangelist in a sort of way. So a lot of the people she was quoting certainly do have a faith-based background. So that also was interesting to me.
But she might not want to identify with one because then it would
No,
limit her. She wants
no.
to find something in all of them, I
But
wanted
you
to
don't
ask her
to
too
have
if
faith
she
doesn't mean you have religion. Like you don't have to have a specific
Oh,
religion. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
totally. Yeah. I have tons of faith, but no religion. I wanted to ask her too about Louise Hay and if she
Oh,
had worked with her.
totally.
I know
That's healing the body,
is
right?
on
That's
my
the
list.
that's the thinker who the thoughts you can actually heal the body
Yeah,
with.
she's sort of the
Yeah.
godmother of the mind body integration. Like she'll even, it's very chakra oriented too. Like
Yeah.
she'll say, when you're feeling frustration, it lives in your liver and this
Yeah.
is, or your gallbladder or whatever it is. And so she would actually like pinpoint to where certain emotions live within your body. And then that's how you start to heal, is because you understand where those emotions settle inside of yourself. But I
I'd
wanted to
like to
ask her
imagine
about that.
that all those thinkers get together and chat it out. Don't you hope they do?
Well, I mean, she hangs out with Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor and
Yeah.
Elizabeth Gilbert, and like she hangs out with all the coolest women.
Oh, we need to get Elizabeth
How do we
Gilbert
get
up in
in
here.
that group? How do we get to have brunch with those ladies?
I don't know. I guess we could sing at a birthday party
There you
and
go.
then, weasel our way in and be like, oh, see, we're so much more than just a pretty voice. We got some brains and hearts and experience. But she's right. Who looks at the women over 50 and are like,
Yeah,
I won't say
that's
the
going to be a
revolution.
problem.
Yeah, these are the ones that are going to dissolve the hierarchy.
That lady, that menopausal lady, yeah, she's going to be a problem.
The progesterone crew. Here we come. Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God. All right. Well, this was awesome.
Really
So
awesome. Yeah. Much like Jill Bolte Taylor, for me, we could have a part 1, part 2, part 3, because there really is so much more that I would love to just organically talk about and go down a different path and see where that
Yeah.
leads.
I
Because
seriously
a
could have talked to
mind
her for
like
like 4
that,
hours.
yeah, it's endless, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
You're the
Thanks
best.
for making me smarter. You
Love
too.
you.
Love you.
Stages podcast is produced by Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us on social media pages or sign up for the mailing list at stagespodcast.net. That is also where you will find Stages swag. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and rate and review the show. It really helps us grow. Big thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for the original music, and Allison Arns, who has been with us since day one. See you soon.